And I get a lot of emails on this very question, and people are asking me, Dennis, I constantly have these automatic thoughts, these reflexive thoughts as we call them in CBT, and can you please give me a couple of tips? Can you please dive deeper into why these thoughts are happening? What can I do when they happen? And why are they so negative and they keep following me everywhere I go? Now, during my story, guys, my 6-year struggle with health anxiety, the main fuel behind my anxiety were these automatic negative thoughts. And they basically would come out of the blue. I wasn't really conscious of them. But because I wasn't conscious of what they were, where they came from, they really led to a lot of the panic attacks that I had. They led to a lot of the stress I experienced, a lot of the worries I experienced on a daily basis that I really didn't need to experience. And what I learned was that I could really cut the patterns as soon as they started, as long as I really stayed guard at the doorway of my mind and really tried to figure out when these thoughts appeared, why they appeared, when I was, what was I talking to someone in that instance where that negative automatic thought happened? Was there something in particular I was doing that was bringing these thoughts on? So I started to become a lot more conscious of why they were happening and when they were happening. And in CBT, we call them NATs, negative automatic thoughts. And I really want to express the importance of kind of just taking a step back for a second, guys, and just really being aware of the story that you constantly tell yourself. We always look for these strategies to overcome this, strategies to overcome that. I get a ton of emails every single day with people going, Dennis, I've tried everything, right? And I ask them, what have you tried? And they can't even tell me, And the reason is because they don't give it enough time. But even when they do give it enough time, they can't make that change within themselves because they constantly feed themselves the same story over and over again. And that story revolves around their identity, who they think they are as a person. So the story that you replay over and over in your head is really adding more fuel to your anxiety. So someone who's trying to lose weight, for instance, could go, I'm trying this herb, I'm trying, these supplements, I'm trying to work out more. But in your head, you're constantly telling yourself that you're fat, or you're this, or you're that, or you'll never be able to do this, or you'll never be able to do that. Why are you even trying, And that subconscious side of our mind is really trying to do one of two things. It's trying to either keep us happy, or it's trying to keep us alive. So it's really looking out for our better good there. So I want you guys to really take a deep look at what story you're telling yourself. And with that said, guys, let's dive into the 9 NATs that we constantly tell ourselves on a daily basis. And when we start to become specific and we start to really understand these NATs, these negative automatic thoughts, then we can really take action towards overcoming them and adding a more empowering evidence-based thought behind it, a story behind it, right? So the number one NAT that I can really tell you guys that I struggled with for years is overgeneralization. So that's the first one, and it is basically you come across an experience or a situation and there something happens, right, in that situation or that experience, and automatically your mind goes, wow, because of that, I believe everything in my future is going to be mirrored around that one experience. So you overgeneralize. You meet someone from France and they're automatically rude to you, and right away you overgeneralize and say all French people are rude. Right? So the overgeneralization is one of the NATs that you can really take control of as long as you recognize that you're doing it. Right? So you recognize that I'm overgeneralizing so many things, and this takes a conscious effort, right? It's not going to unconsciously happen. You may be being aware of your NATs, your overgeneralization one day, and then the next day you kind of become unconscious again, and the words you express to people and the thoughts that you think become automatic again. We don't want that to happen, right? You're watching this video for a reason, and you want a CBT-based strategy and some tips and suggestions to overcome this worrying habit that you constantly have. So becoming conscious of your gnats. The number 2 after generalization is filtering. So filtering means that we tend to really we tend to look at the negatives in a situation rather than the positives. And I'm guilty of this too, guys. When I started YouTube, when I started to do these videos, I never recognized the likes in the video. I would get like 300 likes, and then I would get like 10 dislikes, right? Or that thumbs down thing that they have there. And I would go, oh my God, like I took so much time to make these videos. I've been educating myself for years. I've struggled for years in the same boat as other people. I know these people very well. Why are they giving me dislikes? So I was focusing on the 10 dislikes and barely recognizing the 300 likes, right? And be aware if you're the kind of person that does this on a regular basis. And if you are, it's totally natural. The only thing you got to do is recognize that you're doing it, right? And it's really, really simple after a while, and you're going to find that a lot of your world, your reality, your physical reality start to change once you notice your gnats. So filtering is another one. The third one is the all or nothing thinking. Everything is either black or white. Everything is either good or bad. It doesn't really leave any openness to an open mind, right? And you start to go through life kind of just going, well, that's good, that's bad, right? And what's bad, we're always trying to move towards pleasure or move away from pain, right? And this is a really dangerous kind of way to go about life. It really is, because it doesn't give you a fulfilling feeling. The all or nothing gnat is it doesn't keep you in a life where you feel like, wow, I'm really living, right? And I'm really taking in some of the advice, some of the suggestions of other people, and I really can do these things, and I don't have to let fear overwhelm me and stop me from doing so many things, right? So being too judgmental, all or nothing thinking is not a good way to approach life, right? So recognize again if this is one of your gnats. Another one is personalizing. So the fourth one is personalizing, and what personalizing is a situation happens, or an event happens, or anything can happen in your life, and you automatically believe that you are the one that caused that experience. You are the one that because of you, that's what happened. So you're basically blaming yourself. You're putting yourself at fault for something that happened. And a lot of people do this, and it kind of ruins their self-esteem quite a bit, right? So they tend to go through life going, well, this is the best that's going to happen in my life. You're always personalizing everything. The world is bad because of you. Yes, you are responsible for your outcome, your life circumstances, but personalizing consistently, guys, is really debilitating. So recognize if one of your gnats is personalizing and take action towards it. The fifth one is catastrophizing, and that's a tough one to say. Catastrophizing is something that people with health anxiety do a lot, and they make a mountain out of a molehill, for example, and or what I like to do is I like to call it a monster. They create a monster out of a fly, They have a symptom of anxiety, and automatically, it could have been because they were in a movie, a dramatic movie, a horror movie, and automatically, that feeling when you start to, feel it in your stomach because you're so in tune with that movie, and or your throat starts to tighten up, right? And we don't make the link between our experience at that moment and the symptom, and what we start to think is we start to think the worst possible outcome. No, this is this lump in the throat feeling that I have, this tightness that I have, is related to, throat cancer, whatever it may be. So catastrophizing is something that, we all do at some point in our lives, but it's really important to recognize when you do it, right? And really take action towards it. And all these gnats, guys, at the end of these 9 gnats, I'm basically going to give you 3 excellent ways that you can start to overcome them today. So stay tuned, stay with me here. And the sixth one is emotional reasoning. So when you start to feel an emotion, right, you start to feel something within you, in your gut, automatically you start to assume that that is an evidence-based fact, right? So a lot of people think that their emotions or their feelings are actual factual evidence of something that's going to happen or has happened or whatever. So don't assume that all your feelings and all your internal, your gut feelings that you have are actually facts, are real facts, right? Trust your gut, but really recognize when it's helping you and when it's hurting you. Okay, I hope that makes some good sense in your life. And guys, these are all CBT based. They really are cognitive behavioral therapy. As a CBT practitioner myself, I cannot express how important it is for you guys, if you're suffering from health anxiety or regular GAD, to really take a CBT based approach to your anxiety. So again, emotional reasoning is one. Be aware of when your gut feeling is related to, is something that you can actually trust, and when it's something that is not a fact. Okay. Mind reading, the seventh one, and I did this so much, and I bet you guys do this all the time. I would walk down the street and really trying to be conscious of the world, and I would be looking around, and I would be like, man, okay, I gotta get out of my internal world. I gotta get out of my internal world. I gotta get out of the what if thinking process. I gotta, right? And a lot of times, as I tried to become more conscious of the world, looking at the trees, the beautiful greenery around me, the nature, people being happy and trying to connect in that way, a lot of times I thought that when someone would walk by me, I would think I could be able to read their minds, right? And they would look at me, and I would go, "Whoa! Is there something wrong with me? Is there something that I'm wearing that they might not approve of? Am I doing something funny? Am I as I'm talking to someone, I may be really aware of whether I'm trying to say something correctly so that I can be approved by them. So mind reading, assuming that we can read someone's thoughts, read someone's behaviors, right, is something that's really debilitating, and you need to take yourself out of that thinking. Someone could be looking at you because of how nice your shirt is, or how beautiful your new sweater is, or looking at your feet and going, whoa, those new shoes are awesome, or going, wow, that person really is conscious of their world, and they look like a really fun, positive person, right? So don't assume. Stop coming up with those assumptions, thinking that you're a good mind reader. It doesn't work. It doesn't help you. It's a gnat that we need to take care of. Number 8 is fortune-telling error. So thinking that you can predict the future, right? So I know what's going to happen. I know it, right? I've had this happen once before, and therefore it's going to happen again and again and again. And this can come down to, in a health anxiety world, it can come down to, I'm going to have a panic attack later this afternoon. You actually plan your panic attacks when you wake up in the morning. It's like, man, to be honest with you guys, these gnats were, each one of them I did, right? Each one of them I did from a health anxiety point of view. And I'm sure you guys, if you really pinpoint each and every one, you're going to go, whoa. Yeah, I do that a lot. I didn't recognize that I did that. But a lot of times I was going through life, and I had all these gnats, and it was just basically on automatic, and I always assumed that I was the victim, that nobody else went through this stuff. Why did I go through it? I started to feed myself this story. I started to victimize, right? And I really want you guys to understand that I've been able to overcome my health anxiety and my GAD, and I've been able to lessen my anxiety levels from an 8, 9, and 10 to like a 1, 2, or 3. I never ever get around that whole loop where you start to become curious of your symptom, what it is, and you start to fortune tell, and then you start to mind read, and then you start to filter, you start to go, oh, these are everything kind of snowballs after a while. And if you become really conscious of your gnats during the day, guys, you're going to find that you start to stop the cycle. You actually recognize that, whoa, I can actually go another path, right? I don't have to just follow what my thoughts are, or I don't have to follow my gut feeling. That's weird, right? That's a strange feeling. But the truth is that you do have options, and it's awesome, right? Once you start getting real control of your mind, not just that forcing, I gotta, I have to, I must, I should, all those things, you start to just naturally start to gain control over your mind, and because of that, control over your life. And it's awesome. The 9th one is magnification, guys, and minimization. Magnification and minimization. It kind of goes a little bit like filtering, but it's magnifying the negatives and pinpointing it and dwelling over it and focusing on it and minimizing the positives, right? Minimizing the positives and magnifying the negatives. So be aware if this is you. Again, it's very similar to filtering, but it's a bit more extreme, right? It's a bit more extreme, and you start to really go, whoa, like my reality, the way I'm feeling, is because of this magnifying and minimizing of negative and positive thoughts. So those are the 9 gnats, guys, that you really need to recognize and really say, you know what, yes, number 5, 6, and 8 are the ones that I do on a daily basis, which is why I'm feeling the way I am, which is why I'm going through life stale and living under the standard that I want for my life. And I truly am the one here to tell you guys that I know you guys very well. I know you as a person. I know what anxiety is like. I know what health anxiety is like. And I want you guys to understand that you can always ask me questions on YouTube. You can comment below, and you can always, I love to mingle with people. I love to help people, and that's that. But let's get on to some of the answers. What can we really do? What's a process? What's a method we can do to stop our gnats? And this is a method that I use myself, and I constantly use in today's world for myself as well, guys. And the first thing you really want to do out of the 3 is just catch them. It's just, when you wake up in the morning and recognize that when I wake up in the morning, I constantly have this overgeneralization. I had a bad morning couple years ago, and therefore I'm overgeneralizing what's going to happen this morning, right? So you catch your gnats in action, right? You catch them when they start to appear, and this is powerful. It really is, because you start to recognize what gnats are showing up in what parts of the day, and when you catch them, you can move on to the second one. And the second step to this method, guys, is looking for the evidence that connects that gnat to you, right? So you're going to find that, wow, there really isn't much evidence to support this belief that I constantly believe and runs my thought patterns on a daily basis. There is no evidence behind it. There was a couple instances of it happening, and so what starts to happen is you start to lessen the power of these gnats over your body, over your mind, right? And it's huge. So catching them, looking for evidence, and then the third one is an evidence-based alternative thought, right? So instead of this negative automatic thought, these gnats, what you start to do is you start to replace it. Remember, an idea or a thought cannot be pushed away. It cannot be sent into outer space, and what you must do is replace it with another thought. And that is power in itself. So what you start to do is you start to look at a new evidence-based alternative thought. What can I think instead of this? I met that French person and they were really rude to me. That's fine. Am I overgeneralizing? Yes, I definitely don't want to head that road. So what can I do? I can create an evidence-based thought. I can research a little bit and go, wow, that French person that I met, online seems to be really nice, right? And I can start to build evidence around this new empowering thought that I have. So catching your thoughts, providing any evidence to support that NAT, and then replacing it with a more empowering evidence-based alternative thought is huge, guys. So that's the method. Those are the NATs. Make sure to subscribe to the Anxiety Guy YouTube channel, guys. Also, if you head over to anxietyexit.com, you will be faced with the #1 health podcast on iTunes under the Anxiety Guy podcast. I want to thank you guys for joining me. Remember, and I want to really send out this message to you, the listener who's listening to this right now, that you are more than anxiety. I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a wonderful day.